Welcome back to another video on Gearsaw Studios, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build yourself a Gumdrop village. Since, the normal villages can get a little boring at times, so make a festive one. That you could potentially eat the walls if it wasn't so cold and it would break your teeth. So without further ado, let's investigate how we'd go about this. And first off, get yourself a nice flat area. You're gonna need a large flat area. Like something like this wouldn't work. You need very flat, and you can see approximately how big a village footprint can be. Of course, this one's a little messy and a little world blend errored, but still, the idea stands. You need quite the large area for this. So, I prepared myself this area here. I'm going to patch up the lava soon, which means we can now do our palette. Gumdrops, I recommend using vibrant ones only, so no gray gumdrops, no white ones. Try using something that would stand out. And don't do brown either, since we're going to be using a chocolate well in the middle of this, since Gumdrop Village can have as much candy as it wants. And then the interiors of said houses will be using birch. If need be, dark oak because it looks like chocolate wafers already. And then, get yourself the flat area, and go to the middle of it and dig out a 5x5 hole. It doesn't have to be terribly deep, maybe like 10 blocks or so. And remember, wherever you place this determines how your village is going to be built. So make sure you've placed it in a good area before doing anything. Here we have ourselves the pit, and you can see we have a candy cane pattern across the walls. Red, white, and then you move the pattern one block over every time you go up in order to create a spiral. A different color at the top, I chose green, and then what we want to do is layer it with brown stained glass, like this. And if done right, you should space them every couple blocks or so, and it'll create a fog effect, like the chocolate goes really deep. Because of course, you could do normal chocolate, nothing interesting, or you could do something more interesting like this. Of course, you can make it as deep as you want in order to make the effect less harsh once we reach the bottom. And then once all that is done, do a little bit of planning on your village. Since if you want villagers to actually inhabit this place, you need to put paths. Of course, you'd want to put something more pretty like concrete, but unfortunately, villagers will only identify paths. So get out your shovel. Any shovel works, actually. I'm not sure why I thought about that. But anyways, go around and dig yourself some paths. And once done, you should have a network where you can start building the individual gumdrops on. With your chocolate well now constructed, place a bell on it, and then some candy canes, and then plan the rest of your village. I had to delete a couple of video files for reasons. So now we have ourselves this village here. And of course, it's not done, but it has quite a few things finished. Of course, the gumdrop homes. In order to build one of these, you need a small circle, and an igloo is a very good reference for this if you chop off the entrance part. And what you need to do is make what's essentially an igloo a little pointier, a little taller, and then go inside. Well, make sure you can actually get inside. And you have a potted flower, a trapdoor that goes nowhere, which is optional, a bed, and a chest. At least include a bed and a light source, since otherwise the villagers will not be able to use the home, whether it be due to monsters or the inability to sleep. From there, copy it a couple of times, changing the color of the beds, the walls, and the flower. And then it's time for farms. Red, white, candy cane pattern all across. Make sure you have a way to get in for villagers, since they'll choose to only walk on paths if possible. You can see it extends even down. And then composters, some ultra frog lights under here, kind of look like lemon drops. And then copy those a couple of times, so that way this village can actually function. With all these in, now technically you have a functioning village, since you have a couple of farmers and a way for villagers to live. But of course, you need more buildings. Also, if possible, include a bell. With our village buildings now in place, you can see it looks a lot different. But of course, you have to dissect what goes into each building. Of course, it needs to be a job station building. So something like this would suffice, but of course this is a little basic. Make sure to add chests since that's what a real village has. So blacksmith chest, everybody is going to be running over there to steal from it, typical Minecrafter things. Base them around various candies and whatnot. So right here, we have ourselves a very rudimentary peanut butter cup, so Reese's, and then a smithing table and blast furnace, a little big furnace right here, and then candy corn for our tannery, a candy cane tower for the brewing stand temple, an animal farm, nothing particularly notable to say besides the inclusion of cherry trees, which I will elaborate on soon, and then an archery range. Very basic here. Of course, some target blocks. Finally, something close enough that maybe even I can hit. And then the background here has some stairs upside down and right side up in order to make this broken pattern, as if a lot of people have a hard time landing their shots. And then this gumdrop here is actually a little smoker place. Nothing too interesting going on in there. So we have ourselves most of the village. But something you need to know is you need those small decorations. Dark oak benches that look like chocolate, candy cane lanterns, include everything you can. Since, of course, it's a village, people live here. So include a bunch of random things like that and it'll heavily improve your build. When done with your extra decorations, your place might look something like this. I've added an entire cherry forest around this place, and you can see how much it adds to it. Not to mention the constant falling petals really adds to it. So, running around here, we can see lanterns about, make sure there's no mob spawns, and then a little sitting area with a campfire, more trees, all the nice things. So, this is what it will look like when done. And now, you can finally add your villagers. And here's the thing. Due to the paths, the beds, and the workstations, this is completely villager compatible. So if you give them enough time, they'll figure it out, they'll find houses, and they'll do all of the normal villager things. Make sure not to bring Bad Omen into here though, since this village is mildly undefended. But otherwise, this is a perfectly functional village. So, if you're looking for a new way to spice up your snow biome and need some villagers, then go about it like this. And I'm not entirely sure why they're lagging, but still, it looks really nice here, so I'd highly recommend it. However, before I end this video, one thing I'd like to cover is how do you add these specific decorations besides extra trees? Well, we already have the candy canes. Simple, you can copy this. But then we have benches, which utilize a bunch of dark oak trapdoors like this. And then make sure that there is snow around any light source, since without the snow around light sources, you run into an issue where the grass is exposed, which is not what we want. So go around, make sure every path that ends in a point is faded out, all the things like that. So that way no grass is showing. If you want grass, say a potted tree, go with moss if you're in a snow biome. And with all of this, more snow here, planter boxes with pink petals. Then you can see how everything comes together. It's about the small things here that makes a village, since without any of the small things, then you have a collection of homes and workstations. But once you add those other things, then it truly becomes a village. And with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. And since this is the 11th day of Gearsaw, 2 days from now will be the final day of Gearsaw, which will conclude the 12 days of Gearsaw for 2023. And a small note I'd like to make about that, it will be returning in a different form next year, since you may have noticed that I am slowly starting to run out of ideas here and there. So in order to make it a bit more manageable, I'm going to move to a different style in order to refresh my idea pool. So wait until next year to figure out what I'm doing about that. So, enjoy the rest of your day. Gearsaw out.